Michigan is at Nebraska on Saturday, and betting odds seem to suggest that Michigan is putting things together right now. But a win by the Huskers may mean more for Matt Rhule. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, and you could also find us on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. You'll be in the club, and if you could share, follow, and like, that helps us out too. Plus, you can hype YouTube videos now. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, Michigan, Nebraska, the first game we're going to feature here this week. Plus, Jon Gruden rumors to UCLA. Oh, here they are, the groomers, as we like to call them. Plus, Tuesday tweets are spectacular. We'll get to all of those in due time. Let's talk about Michigan at Nebraska this Saturday. It's a big game. I've been looking forward to this game since the Big Ten schedule came out. I want to see who the Big Ten opener was and looked at a handful of teams, and this one really jumped out at me a long time ago. And look, we knew going into the season that Michigan would be breaking in an 18-year-old freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood. And you know what? We saw Nebraska go through the same thing last year with an 18-year-old freshman, highly recruited quarterback in Raiola. Turned out pretty well for him, and he's getting going here in year two, his second season, Matt Rhule's third season at Nebraska. And, we asked ourselves, would the Huskers be taking that next step up this year? Now that Raiola's got his feet wet, year three of Matt Rhule, where are we at, Husker fans? So I think in good years and in bad years, Michigan always seems to be a pretty good measuring stick to see where your program is. And because they're never too far down on the pack. So if you can beat them, whether they're in the middle of the tier or top tier, I think it's a good measuring stick for your football program. And after Michigan, though, let's talk about where they're at, their own measuring stick. They finally opened up the playbook for Underwood, and they rolled to a 63-3 victory over Central Michigan this weekend. Everybody expected Michigan to win that game. That really wasn't a big surprise. But the score did get Vegas's attention. Early lines have the Wolverines as 1.5-point road favorites this weekend at Nebraska. Our friends at FanDuel bumped it up to Michigan -2.5. And we'll have our pigskin picks on Friday's show as well. But we pointed out numerous times here on this podcast that, Michigan, while they win a lot, they fail to cover. And it's a function of them running the ball so much. They run a lot. They chew up a lot of clock. Therefore, they don't have as many possessions. It's logic. It's not a criticism. It's just logic. And, for example, they were 34.5-point favorites against New Mexico, but they only won 34-17, but a win's a win. But that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Plus, they're breaking in a new quarterback, all right? And his third game this past weekend, they took Underwood's training wheels off a little bit. They let him do some of the things that made him the number one recruit in the country. He threw downfield a little more. More importantly, he ran the ball a little more. In fact, rushed for 114 yards. Yeah, I think Michigan fan is saying more of that, please, right? But, and we pointed this out in yesterday's podcast, you can run Underwood more, and I think they should. And not the fastest guy in the world, but he's strong, he's powerful. He can get first downs. But the quarterback room is thin at Michigan. So if he gets hurt running the ball, putting himself more at risk, then Michigan could have a problem. So it's a balancing act, right? A high risk, high reward situation, if you will. So Michigan this weekend, they need this win this weekend. I mean, we can talk about Nebraska in just a second, but they need to win to keep this rebuild train moving forward. And, they're going to do it without Coach Sharon Moore. Again, he'll be sitting out game 2 of his 2-game self-imposed suspension because of Spygate. Loss Saturday would set the relaunch back a little bit, I think, and it would settle the Wolverines down into the middle of the pack. So let's talk about the Huskers side of this thing. Matt Rhule been making slow, steady, incremental improvement in his first couple of years there at Nebraska. And I think in order to jump to at least the top of the second tier, they got to have this game. They got to win this game on Saturday. It's an important game for them. As they, like last year, what was the important thing? It was to get to a bowl game. It was to win a bowl game. They hadn't done it forever. 2016. This year, it's to take a step up. Let's get knocking on the door of that upper tier. That's where they're at in the program right now. That's Matt Rhule's single focus. That's Dylan Raiola's focus to put the program on his shoulders and let's go. Let's climb, see how high we can climb. That's what the talk is in Nebraska. So the other thing about this, it's a conference game, obviously very important. So let's not understate that and how big this game is for Nebraska. Now, the Huskers started the season with an impressive win against Cincinnati, neutral field, Arrowhead, although it wasn't really neutral. I mean, that was pretty much a home crowd for the Huskers out there. It was all within a driving distance for them, unlike Cincinnati. And they did need an amazing last-minute interception to avoid a last-second loss. A win is a win. It doesn't matter. I thought it was a good quality win, especially the close win. I thought it was a good quality, close win. And Nebraska fans, if you know what I'm talking about. So the Huskers, they went on to win their next two games by a combined score of 127-7 against Akron and Houston Christian University. Michigan is not Akron or Houston Christian University. Nebraska players better expect, make a quick adjustment from what they've been used to the last couple of weeks, right from the first play from the get-go against Michigan. It's going to be a step up in the level of competition. No question about that. So if the Huskers could get this win, not only will be a feather in the cap by beating a ranked team in Michigan, they'll be 4-0. They've got some winnable games, some 50-50 games and some winnable games come up. Michigan State and Maryland and Minnesota and Northwestern coming up. So potentially, they get this one Saturday. They get these down the road. They could be 8-0, maybe 7-1, 6-2 at the worst. And that would be, by the way, I think that Maryland game is suddenly going to be tougher than what I think we all thought. That Malik Washington, that quarterback there is a real deal. Nevertheless, pretty good record going into November. Remember, USC currently ranked. They got them, and the November schedule starts to get a little tough. They're going to be the blackout night at the night game in Lincoln for that one. And, they better collect as many of these wins as possible now, because I think the schedule in November not only has USC, they should win the UCLA game, I would think. But road date at Penn State is on the schedule, and they close out with an Iowa team, which could be one of those tough win-in-the-trenches type ball games. Either way, Saturday's game against Michigan is huge. And that's why we here at Locked On Big Ten, we're going to do something we've never done before. Now, many of you everydayers, y'all know we're here every day. Well, you also know that on Saturday, we pick the biggest game on the schedule, and then we go live after that. That gets my immediate unfiltered reaction to the game to you, and vice versa, because I can see your live real-time comments as we do this podcast. We go live on Saturdays. Well, there's so many good games going on this weekend. We're going to do something we've never done. We're going to do a doubleheader. That's right. We're going to go live immediately after the Michigan-Nebraska game, so join us there. It's a 3:30 game. It'll be probably around 6:30 to 7 Eastern. We'll go live, 3:34 Pacific. And then we'll leave, and we're going to go watch that Illinois and Indiana game with playoff implications. Then we'll come back and we'll go live after that too, probably around 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific with that. So it's a big top 20 matchup there. So we're going to do 2 live shows this Saturday, in addition to our daily shows that we do every single day during the week. It's our first ever live doubleheader here on Locked On Big Ten. Looking forward to that. Mark your calendars. Join us after these games for your immediate comments and mine as well. I'll take your comments now on this podcast. If you're on YouTube, hit us up with the comments. Husker fans, you've been quiet lately. Let's hear from you. Michigan fans, I always hear from you. Let's do it. And be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. And if you could share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, that helps us out as well. Don't forget, we have our website where all of our podcasts go at talkbig10.com. That's with the number 10 podcasts are there. Go back, check out yesterday's podcast if you missed it. There are links there for your favorite Big Ten gear, shirts, T-shirts, all that stuff, pennants right there. Get your school spirit on. And of course, Christmas shopping is, it's not too far away, to be honest with you. All right. What about all these Jon Gruden to UCLA rumors? We're going to attack these. We're going to look at all of them. And we also have our Tuesday tweets, one of my favorite segments that we do each and every Tuesday. It's just a part of the deal. It's all coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. Prize Picks is a lot of fun. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It is daily fantasy, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off for you here. And, we get to make decisions every day in our life. Well, these decisions are fun. So on Prize Picks, being right means you get to cash in. So with football back in full force, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get into the action. Just pick more than or less than on stats with 2 to 6 players. You group them together, projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. It's super easy to pop around on this app and do it. For example, I love checking on the projections for Josh Allen, more than 270 yards passing on Thursday night, or Saquon Barkley, more than 1 rushing touchdown. Group them together and see what happens. And then if you're right, you win. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget, we have audio version too on Apple or Spotify if you'd like that, in addition to the videos on YouTube. You everydayers all know all this. Check it out. And don't forget to check out our website at talkbig10.com. All right, the groomers have started already. The Jon Gruden rumors following UCLA's weekend dismissal of head football coach Deshaun Foster. The Jon Gruden rumors multiple places. The Spun by Athlon put it out there. Twitter is gone crazy about this as well. And of course, the UCLA job was one of 2 jobs that suddenly opened up this weekend. Don't forget, Virginia Tech did as well. So look, from me to you, we always keep it real. This is where the Jon Gruden stuff begins and ends for me. Nobody's talking to Jon Gruden today at UCLA. Now, in 4 months, that may be another story. Maybe. Now, Gruden has, he's made it no secret that he wants to get back into coaching badly. He won a Super Bowl with the Bucs as their head coach. He was unceremoniously dumped by the Raiders after some unflattering emails surfaced through the NFL offices. In the meantime, he's been passing his time with Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports. As UCLA enters play here this weekend, they're going to be led by interim head coach Tim Skipper. Skipper just arrived this summer in mid-July. He served as Fresno State's interim coach in 2024. So he's got a little experience with this interim thing. He was there. He was the linebackers coach. And then Jeff Tedford, remember, who's been with Jeff Tedford since 2021 over there. Tedford stepped down last summer just before the season. And so Skipper stepped up and led them to a 6-7 record. They beat New Mexico in a bowl to finish 7-7. Before that, he had been an assistant head coach and a linebacker coach at Central Michigan. He had been at UNLV. He had been at Florida, Colorado State. He's been around. He's got a lot of experience. But, I don't know what kind of splash it'll be. And who knows, if he does well enough the rest of this year, maybe he'll earn the head coaching job. Now, going into the future, hiring Jon Gruden next year, that would certainly make a splash, right? Everybody be talking about UCLA. Remember how it was this past summer with the whole ECO thing and the transfer portal? UCLA was in the news every day. That part of it was great for UCLA. Same thing would happen if Jon Gruden went there. Everybody be talking about him A lot of attention on the program. Probably would help with recruiting and maybe name, image, and likeness money and all that kind of donations to the program. I'm sure it would help. But, I'll take a step back for a minute. Over the years, UCLA has tried everything but the kitchen sink when it comes to football coaches. You cannot blame them for trying the way they have. I mean, sometimes they'll get a quiet guy like a Carl Durrell. They've gone the big name route before. Rick Neuheisel, very big personality. Jim Mora with a lot of success in the NFL. Winning guys like Chip Kelly. They've tried it all. And they even tried to promote from within. Deshaun Foster. They've tried every possible angle. The new and up and comer, the well-known guy, the guy already there on the staff. There's no other route to go. They've tried it all. So again, you can't blame UCLA for that. They've tried it. Nothing's worked for the most part. And so I'm sitting here going, do you think they'll actually go after Jon Gruden? No, I don't. And look, I don't shy away from opinion here. That's my opinion from me to you. I don't think they're going to go after Jon Gruden. Now, some actual names they should go after. We can talk about that, right? There's an offensive coordinator up in Oregon right now, West Coast, Will Stein. Great recruiter, great offensive guy. They haven't missed a beat since he took over. He's young. He's 35. He's never been a head coach. Maybe that was a problem with Deshaun Foster. So maybe not. Former Stanford coach, David Shaw. Again, a guy with West Coast experience. Actually won a few football games at Stanford. That's hard to do. 96-54 at Stanford. And he took over from Jim Harbaugh and really didn't miss a beat. And then they had a few lean years his last couple of years, and then that was it. He's currently the passing game coordinator for the Detroit Lions. So I'm sure he's available for a head coaching job. Eric Bieniemy's name is always going to come up. He's got a lot of ties to UCLA. Was the offensive coordinator there last year. Was a running backs coach early in the 2000s. Spent most of his time as the offensive coordinator with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was the guy that just couldn't seem to get a head coaching gig. Now he's the running backs coach with the Bears. He'd be available. Although, he was only there, in 2024, and then he was gone. I don't know if that was because of him or because of UCLA. I have no intel on that. I don't know. Dan Mullen is interesting. He's at UNLV now. Of course, he was the coach of the Florida Gators. Over his career, he's been around. He's coached Alex Smith at Utah. He has coached Tim Tebow at Florida. He has coached Dak Prescott at Mississippi State. He's coached Kyle Trask at Florida. He's not staying at UNLV. That was just to get out of TV and back into the coaching game. And by the way, he signed a 5-year deal with UNLV, and the word was they only had enough money to pay him for the first 2 years. So this is year 2. He'll be gone. Here's my own wild card from me to you. PJ Fleck at Minnesota. No West Coast ties. But, do you remember right before Deshaun Foster got hired, PJ Fleck's name mysteriously popped up. In fact, he had to put together a press release while he was on vacation with his wife saying, no, I'm not interested in the UCLA job. I'm happy at Minnesota. And then Deshaun Foster was hired. I don't know what happened there. There's always, if there's smoke, there's fire. Something happened. So I would keep an eye on him again. And look, he always does a good job at Minnesota. He always wins like 7 or 8 games. Doesn't have the resources some of the other schools do. I think he'd be a good candidate. USA Today put Jason X name from New Mexico on a list. And he was the one that just basically ended Deshaun Foster's career at UCLA. I say no way, because to add insult to injury at Westwood, remember after he beat UCLA, and this is before Foster got fired, like hours before, the Lobos head coach said, hey, we're going to play better teams than UCLA. I know they're a Power 4 team, but in name only. There's going to be a lot of teams that we play that are better than them. It's not like we beat Ohio State or something. I thought that was a little besmirching on his part. I don't know if he warmed himself up to any UCLA people. So I did look at their schedule. I don't know if they have a lot of teams tougher than UCLA. They did lose to Michigan 34-17. They got Boise State on their schedule, but this isn't the same Boise State as last year. So I don't see a lot of ranked teams on there. Nevertheless, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens out at UCLA. Would love your comments. Hit me up. Some of you are already starting to make suggestions as to who you think should be the next head coach over there. Let me know. Love to hear from you in the comment section. In the meantime, we got Tuesday tweets coming up. That's next. That's one of our favorite segments of the week. It's in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. You want to go to a game, you need the Game Time app for tickets. In fact, whether it's college football games, concerts, comedy shows, whatever, if you want to go and it needs a ticket, you need the Game Time app, and you get the ticket really easy without any hassle, all in pricing, no surprises. And that way you go to the game, you and your friends have been watching football and you're like, let's go. And then they're like, all right, well, you get the tickets. Now you got like, oh man, I got to get the tickets. Piece of cake with Game Time. Just a couple of taps on your phone. Boom, you got them. I love how they give you the view of the seat of the ticket you're about to buy right there. And then it's super simple. Did you know you can get to a college football game for as low as $25 with Game Time? That's right. It's easy. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege. I'll spell it LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. We always appreciate you everydayers. Let's take a look at Tuesday tweets. You can follow us at Twitter at Talk Big Ten and do this every single Tuesday. We'll go full screen. If you're audio only, no problem. We'll describe it in detail what we got going on here. This first tweet is from at College Football on Fox. It's a graphic of 6 teams' logos and their scores this weekend. We had a total of 6 shutouts in week 3 at college football. And then ask which one was the most impressive. Well, first of all, I'll point out for the second week in a row, we got multiple Big Ten teams on here. Indiana leading the way, 73-0 over Indiana State. And Illinois is on there with their 38-0 win this weekend as well. So, yeah, a lot of we talk about all these high scores. There's defense that we forget about on the other side of the ball. All right, this is from at Swanky Wolverine, Nebraska on the clock. It's a picture of Bryce Underwood eating a corn cob. Huskers, Michigan's coming to town. Oh, I love this one. This is from at the Big Ten Network. This is actually a video, about a 20-second video. If you did not watch the USC Purdue game, this is a video of defensive tackle Jamal Jarrett. He is 6'5", 360 pounds. Where's the big number 0 on there? And had a deflected pass, picked it off, and then took it 70 yards to the house at 360 pounds. How about that? That had to be the play of the week, right? That was pretty good. Well, unless you're a Purdue fan. Here is from at Sparty World. It was a picture of Michigan State quarterback Aiden Childs through his first 3 weeks. I have talked repeatedly on this podcast about this young man's growth from last year to this year, taking care of the ball. Here are his stats through 3 games. 72% completion rate, 656 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception, and that was on a tip ball, and 123 rushing yards. Top 3 quarterback in the Big Ten. There you have it. Aiden Childs. Speaking of quarterbacks in the Big Ten, this is from at PFF College. Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza, week 3 against Indiana State. He was 19 of 20, 270 yards, 6 total touchdowns, 5 through the air, no interceptions. And his brother, who was already on the team before he transferred in from Cal, is his backup. He came in and threw for 2 touchdown passes and no interceptions. So the Mendoza brothers combined for 8 total touchdowns in that game and no turnovers. It's got to be, that's a record, right? Brothers. Sticking with Indiana, this is from at Indiana Football. And Omar Cooper Jr. was on the receiving end of a lot of those Fernando Mendoza passes. 10 catches, 207 yards, 4 touchdowns. Now the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, a little collage of a couple of pictures of him in there. So that's pretty good. Here is from @Ben Stevens. He says, it is now official. Number 19 Indiana hosting number 9 Illinois on Saturday. It's just the 8th time ever that the Hoosiers will host a ranked versus ranked game, and the first time in a full year, full season since 1993. The other one was the shortened year and the 2020 COVID year. It is also the only time IU has as a ranked team has hosted a top 10 team. There you go. So Illinois 9, Indiana 19. Some polls have Illinois at 8. That will be the 7:30 game on NBC, and that is one of the 2 games that we will be going live after here on Locked On Big Ten. Again, the first one earlier, right after Nebraska hosting Michigan. We'll go live right after that game, and then we'll go watch this game, Indiana hosting Illinois, with the winner having a nice, easier path to the possible playoffs from the Big Ten. The loser will have some work to do. We'll go live after that one as well. So hopefully you'll join us for all of that. Here is one of the polls at Illini football, upward trajectory, number 8 in the USA Today coaches poll. 8th. One poll has Illinois 9th. One has them 8th. The USA Today one has Illinois at 8th. Going to be a great game. Looking forward to that on Saturday. Here is a picture of Kirk Ferentz walking the sidelines. Just says legend above his name. This is from @Hawkeye Football. He, of course, with a win over UMass this weekend. That was win number 206. He is the winningest coach in Big Ten history, passing legendary Ohio State coach Woody Hayes on the all-time win mark there. Congratulations. Here's some more marks. This is from @SportsCenter on ESPN. When in doubt, give the ball to number 4. A picture of Jeremiah Smith. Stole the show and the Buckeyes win over the Bobcats. 9 catches. That's a personal best for him. 170 yards and 2 total touchdowns. 1 receiving, 1 on a rush, end-around rush. And here's more from @College Football on Fox. Jeremiah Smith continues to make history with 153 yards. Yesterday became the fastest Ohio State wide receiver to 1,500 receiving yards. Only took him 19 games. There's a picture of him there. On the list, we got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who did it in 20. Chris Carter and David Boston did it in 25. Emeka Egbuka did it in 26. Garrett Wilson and Gary Williams did it in 26 games as well. That's right, wide receiver U there at Ohio State. This is from the Big Ten Network. This is a TV screenshot, a little video of the Purdue game against USC. Purdue alum Drew Brees in the crowd. Welcome back to West Lafayette, hashtag or @Drew Brees, it says. And there you have it. That was another good one to put on our Twitter list. We do Tuesday tweets every Tuesday, obviously. Send me one @TalkBig10. We do features at the end of our show every single day that you could join us for. Mondays, we do our top 10 Big Ten observations. Tuesday, the tweets. Wednesdays, tomorrow, we'll power rank the Big Ten 1 through 18 football. Thursdays, we look at the Big Ten Network's Big Ten Classics and live action. And Fridays are Pigskin Picks, where we go on the record for all of that. So fantastic. This show has flown by already. Can't wait to do it again all over tomorrow. But thanks for joining us here today. Many ways for you to interact with us. Twitter @TalkBig10, our website, talkbig10.com. Hit that subscribe button before you go, please. Thank you very much. That way you'll never miss a single episode, and you're in the club with us every day. Also, a favor, if you could share, follow, and like, that helps us out too. Feel free to go back and check out a second podcast or one we did yesterday. We did 2 yesterday, actually. If you want to go check it out for a second listen. Also, I'll let you know about, for you college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 anchors the show with 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson and former college star Jesse Hawley, plus our Locked On experts, giving you all the insight you need. A college football preview that only Locked On can do. So catch the College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. That'll do it for us. Again, can't wait till we meet again tomorrow. We're here every day. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you next time.